Perfect timing. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So welcome to this live stream. In this one, what I'm going to be doing here is building out a real-time chat application with Django. And instead of using something like Django channels and having to connect our own WebSockets, we are going to be using the Agora SDK. I've talked about this before on my channel. I have videos where I built out real-time video call applications. I've even built out real-time chat applications, not with Django, though. I've done that on the front end. So in this video, I kind of want to complete that cycle with a full backend. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the issues that we're facing, what's going on with this, and essentially how all of this will work. So right now, my audio is going to be a little bit off. I'm not at my current setup. In fact, I have this weird setup where I'm on two different laptops here. So actually just take this webcam. This is how I'm currently working right here. So a little bit of an awkward setup. I'm having to make, do with what I have. I don't have my microphone. So we'll just go ahead and do this. So yesterday, Tadas and I actually streamed. So as you're joining the stream, whoever's watching, make sure to check out the Agora Devs YouTube channel. So we streamed yesterday on building a portfolio site with Astro. And if you want to see more Agora content on how to build out video calling applications, chat applications, Tadas and I will be doing a lot of that, along with experimenting with different projects. We're going to be checking out new frameworks and so on. So let me just figure out how to share this, and then we'll continue.
Yeah, so yesterday's stream was pretty cool because that was my first real deep dive into Astro, and Dennis taught me a lot, so I highly recommend it.
Fun stream. Yeah, it's a pretty cool site, I would say, too. I mean, I think it's decent. This also goes well with my hackathon. If you're looking to build out a portfolio site, I am going to provide the template to what we built in that video. In fact, if I open this up here, let's try to see the final product. This is what we ended up building. Should be somewhere here. So that's kind of no, that's my personal website, but I did have the final product here.
It was like just past that part, but I'm sure.
Yeah, so this is kind of like this. This is kind of what we built right here, but we made it work. It was a lot of fun. We built out with Astro. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to the Agora Devs YouTube channel. So this is below the fold here. That's what we worked on. But let's go ahead and just get started with what we're going to do today. So I'll leave this open here. So right now I have nothing built out. In fact, wow, I completely forgot to open up the link that I was going to use. It was like, what was it? I did a prototype in the site. In fact, it really doesn't matter because the site here is just going to be a page where we're going to have a user submission for their name, and then we're just going to go to live chat. So we're not going for full functionality. We're not going to build out authentication. We're not going for best practices. What I might end up doing is actually building out like a real chat application where you can message people. You can go into like a Discord server type of room and continue from there. So I can do that later, but it's not what we're going to do at the moment. Right now, basically the objective here is with the Agora SDK, we're able to create like that socket connection between two users where one user sends a message and then anybody that's subscribed to that specific thread will get that message in real time. Now, the issue here is how do we do this with a backend? How do we actually save the data so we have a chat history and send the message, but at the same time, save that message in the database? So essentially, we're going to send the message between two users or a group of users, but then at the same time, send out a request to a database. So with that being said, let's get started. I'm going to start building out the Django part, and then we'll go into the Agora part. Depending on how long this takes, Tadas will jump out. I will finish the stream, but we just wanted to have some fun with it. So let's get started here. So I'm going to start this completely from scratch. So Tadas, if you have questions regarding Django, go ahead and ask them. I'm sure there's people that are in this video that maybe aren't that familiar with Django. So it's always good to have someone like you in here, more of a Flutter developer. If I get your take on things, that's always good to kind of get that feedback. So yeah, let's just start from scratch here. I'm using a Mac, so I'm not really a Mac user. We're gonna have to try to get used to this, but we're gonna set up a Django application. There is gonna be some JavaScript here, and I'm not using a front-end framework. So essentially, I'm gonna use Django, the Django REST framework, to build out a small API, and then we'll just write our JavaScript in just some kind of JavaScript file and put that into our front end and make that work. So if you're not a JavaScript developer, well, kind of hard to build out a real-time chat application without JavaScript. So it's something that we're just going to have to do. So I'll just start from the beginning again. Do you remember that Zoom trick that we were talking about yesterday? We talked about this.
Yeah. So if you got to go to your preferences, and there's like, if you type in Zoom, so you know how to get the preferences?
Yeah, let's just do system preferences.
And then type in Zoom up there.
And if you haven't noticed, this stream is going to be very casual. I messaged Thadas this morning, and we just decided about half an hour ago that we're going to do this. Someone's asking about the Agora SDK. It's not an open source. It is technically a paid product, but they do have a very good free tier. So for the real-time messaging, I believe, Thadas, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 1,000 active users a month that you get for free. So that means that until your application gets over 1,000 users in a month, you get a user for free. For audio and video calling, it's 10,000 minutes free. So really good free tier to get started. So I don't think you need a credit card on file, right? I'm like completely blanking out on our own system here.
I think it's just tough because like we probably used it at the beginning. We logged in and then
exactly
I don't remember the details, but I know it's definitely 10,000 free minutes every month for that. And I thought it was. I mean, I'm sure you're right about the messaging, but there's a free tier for messaging that's pretty like generous.
Cool. Yeah. So zooming right here. So we do. Let's see, is it advanced?
So you see right there, use keyboard shortcuts to zoom. The very first thing. So zoom in is Option Command equals. There you go.
But so that zooms in though. It doesn't enhance the screen. If you can look that up. So what I'm going to do is I'll just get started here. Just look that up for me and we'll just get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a virtual environment. So virtual env. We'll set that up right here. I want my own virtual environment. Let's activate that. So that's going to create the env file. With Mac, it's going to be source env/bin/activate. On a Windows, if you're using this, it's just going to be env/scripts and then activate. So that's for Windows if you're on a Windows machine. So go ahead and take care of that. And now that we have that, we'll just pip install Django, and I'm going to do Django REST framework installed right here. So we'll get the requirements installed. And I don't think I activated my virtual environment. So let's try that again. So source env/bin activate. All right. I keep misspelling source.
Can I ask a really like basic question?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the general concept of Django? I know it's a Python framework for websites, right? But I know you use it as a backend a lot. So is that basically like writing out your own, like, I don't know, not Firebase, I guess, but like SQL style database or whatever?
I mean, no, it's more than that. So it's a full-on backend framework. I know you're less familiar with web dev, but essentially you can build out a complete API. It's even a full stack application, really, because it actually has a front-end templating language. So you don't always have to use it with something like React or Angular or Svelte. But yeah, it's a full application. It's way more than the database. You get to connect to a database. That's one aspect of it, but it gives you everything you need to build out an application. YouTube used or uses Django at some point. Instagram used Django. So basically any app like that you can think of, or just building out an API for something like this, that's what that is. So we just created our project right here. I just call that public chat right here. So it's on my desktop, and I'm going to use VS Code for my text editor. So we'll get that set up. Oh, isn't exactly easy. Oh, somebody already, Justin's here backing me up. Who's giving me hell in the chat here?
I don't even know what you're doing, but all I know is you got to activate the virtual environment.
So I actually like to throw in my my virtual environment into directly into my application here. So I just throw that in. So I'm actually going to take that from my desktop and throw that into my project files. So Justin probably has a lot more experience than I do with Django channels. Now, that's something that you could do, but honestly, connecting that, dealing with all that, and then dealing with WebSockets, that really could be a pain. So I definitely love using something like the Agora SDK. If you can find a third-party library for that, something that maybe you can pay a little bit for. I know a lot of them have free tiers, but it really does make your life a lot easier. That's why a lot of these things are out there. So let me just create the app real quick. So we created the Django project. We activated our virtual environment. We're going to create the app here. I'm just going to call that base. Start app. I'm trying to watch the chat. I see Justin's in here. Cody's in here watching this on my lunch break. Cody's put out some awesome Agora content. Cody, we would love you for that, man. Like you're killing it. And Thadas and I were actually talking about you that we want to bring you in on one of these live streams and just have you join us, and we'll build something together using whatever you want, along with the Agora SDK. That'd be really cool because you know that very well at this point. All right, so just going through the basics here. I'm going to set up my templates. We're going to render out some URLs. Just want to get that going. So first things first is we're going to go into our base. Again, we're always starting from scratch just because I hate having too much boilerplate. It confuses people. So from
Dennis, do you have a Discord by any chance? Someone's asking where he can ask questions.
Yeah, I do have a Discord. I don't personally answer too many questions in there just because that would be impossible for me to keep up with that. But there is a lot of people in there. We do that for our hackathons. I could throw that in the chat to us. If you know where that's at, do you know where to find the Discord server? Maybe I can try to.
I'll try to find it and I'll put it
here. Let me pull this up right here. So this is actually my Discord server. So what I'm going to do here is grab the invite link to it, so I can do invite people, and we're just going to copy that. And let me throw this into the chat here in a second.
I'm not even in it.
You should join it. So that's going to be in the chat. I'm going to try to pin that real quick. Put myself in a timeout. So that's the Discord server link right there. So you might just have to pause it, maybe manually type that out, but it's also the chat. I just can't pin it at the moment here. Okay, so let's skip back to our code here. So we're creating our URLs file for our app that's called base. We just connected that, and then we're going to create the URL patterns. A lot of stuff that people will know if you follow my channel. I've taught on these concepts a lot here. So pretty basic stuff. We're just going to go ahead and create our first view. Create a view called public feed. We haven't created this yet, but we will create this in a second. So just call that feed. So that's the URL pattern. So basically the home page is going to be our public feed, and we will create some kind of login page. In fact, later on, this page right here will probably be feed, and we'll create like the login form as like the home page, because I don't want people joining without at least putting in their name. And I know that there's a lot of flaws in this, but essentially what we're going to do here is we're just going to have people punch in their name. I'll save that in local storage. So every time you come back to the site, we're just going to use the name that's in local storage. So you're not having to re-enter that every single time. Later on, if I continue this application, we'll obviously create authentication just so you can stop spam and any other issues that may come up with people having the ability to do things without attaching their name to it and basically no responsibility. So we'll create the view public feed right here. Tadas, what's your web development experience like? It sounds like you pretty much started in just app development, right? Like you've never done web dev?
So not really. I actually, I've done a little bit of web development, not like in a professional standpoint or anything, just kind of building fun stuff by myself. I started as an Android developer, I think. I had like this little internship freshman year of college where I didn't do anything but learn Android. So that's kind of where I started. And I think I built a little Android app throughout. But I think around like when I graduated, I pretty much taught myself how to code, even though I went to like college for it. I graduated as a computer engineer, and I took 2 CS courses before I graduated. So I had like the very intro class that like every engineer took, and then I took one like data structures class, which I barely passed, and that's why I didn't take anymore, because I'm like, screw coding, like I don't know this stuff. But then I graduated, and I'm like, it was fun, I started building my own things, kind of enjoying it more, and I decided to go build a social media website, which if you never tried, is probably one of the worst first projects to do. Like, definitely go for something simpler.
For sure. I'll definitely go for something smaller, but social media is definitely going to teach you a lot, like a social media application. Oh, by the way, I want to get back to that just to catch everyone up. What I did is instead of creating my templates inside of my app, what I'm going to do here is just create a templates folder out here. I put the template in here. So that's at the root directory. And there's different ways to do this in Django, but essentially once you do this, you need to let Django know where to look for this file. So I'm not having to do something like base and then /feed.html. We created that folder, and then to actually make this work, I always start reverting to the base just because I go into teacher mode. But we're going into the templates DIRs attribute right here, and then we're just going into base directory / and templates. So we're telling Django, hey, we're storing templates here in the base directory within the templates folder. So before we get back to what Tadas was saying, Python manage.py, run server. Let's make sure this is all connected. And I still need to connect my root URLs file.
So
let's
build a project, a YouTube Studio clone project.
YouTube, like the dashboard, I'm assuming.
It gives you all that information. But I'm actually building a site like that. I'm building it live on Twitch, so it's not that nobody's really seen it, but it's actually not too bad. And I think I was doing it in Next.js, so yeah, it's
nice.
It's not too bad. It's not too hard.
So that's our homepage. That's the first thing we want to do: connect our URLs and templates. So you were saying, so you went to school for it, but you started building out your own. We did the whole CS thing. You started building out your own website, right? Can you catch me up on that?
So I was a computer engineer, which is not like coding necessarily. You can it's like electrical engineering and a little bit of coding mixed together, but you can go like one route or the other one, whichever one you want with computer engineering. Oh, geez. Did you hear the dog? I'm assuming
I hear it. No, it's okay. Oh, he ran out. So I guess before we're never going to finish Tadas's story. So while we're doing that, we're going to create one model. It's just going to be called post. And in here, we're just going to create a body field and then a created field. So we want to know when this post was created. So this is our database model. We'll migrate our database and then go to our admin panel in a second. Let's see. Okay. So models.char field. I could make this a text field, but maybe we can limit our post to something like what Twitter does. So we'll just do max length, let's say 250 characters. So you can't make a post longer than that. And then for our created field, we'll just do models.date time field. So we want a timestamp when an instance of this is created. We'll just do auto now add. So basically what this will do is if we set this to true, by default it's false, I believe. If we set that to true, it'll take a timestamp when the model is created. Okay, Tadas is back.
Dude, there's these two dogs in our neighborhood, and like he just loses his mind whenever they like are anywhere near him. Any other dog around the neighborhood, completely fine, but these two dogs, he just does not like them.
Territorial.
Yeah. So what I was saying is like, so computer engineering, you kind of pick whichever route you want to go, like what you do more. And I definitely want the more of the electrical engineering like route. I was doing like hardware design and all that type of stuff. Then I graduated.
Are you coding at all? I mean, there's got to be some coding in there, right? I mean, you're still working with like, was it not Arduino or Drano or one of those
no
kits? Are you doing stuff like that?
No, we're doing hardware design. So the two languages VHDL and Verilog are the two main things you write with, but they're not like coding languages. You're creating AND gates, you're creating OR gates, you're creating all those sort of things like transistors. You're placing those in places so that you can use like you can basically my senior year project was I created a processor like from scratch, like using our own AND gates with like parallelism and all that stuff. So that's what I did in college.
So how does that tie into app development then?
It doesn't.
No, I know it doesn't, but I'm saying where did that transition for you then?
So I just realized like there's probably just a lot more opportunities in that than electrical engineering and like doing hardware design and stuff. So I like what my dream job was to go to like Intel and like work there, but like obviously there's so many people graduating with computer engineering, like it's so hard. And my first job and how I kind of transitioned into coding is that I did go into embedded system development with C. That was my first job and like what I did for the first 3-4 years of my career. So that's kind of like I mean, that's a lot more coding than like what a hardware design, but you're still kind of interacting with the hardware and got to know like pen layouts and all that stuff.
Got you.
Yeah, and then like I was doing
a lot more money in app and web development, probably, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like you can't if you want to be more entrepreneurial, you can't really create like creating a piece of hardware that like sells to a lot of people and is very useful is way harder than creating some apps or websites.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more financial investment to it. By the way, we're gonna throw in the name later. I'm gonna leave that, just comment that out. Yeah, I have a buddy that just went into I think he was a mechanical engineer or something like that, and starting pay there is not what you can do as an app or web developer. I mean, yeah, I was shocked when I heard the amount. I'm like, dang, it's definitely on the lower end. And he went through, I think it was like 6 years of schooling for that too. I'm like a lot of it was needed because it's almost like aerospace engineering. That's kind of where he started, So it's like you need that accreditation as opposed to, us wannabe developers just building out apps and websites. We're not real developers. Just to catch everyone up, we created the model. I registered it with the admin panel just so we can see that, so we can actually go into here. Let me actually minimize that. So I registered it with the admin panel. We created some posts. So I just want to render this data out. So basically what I'm going to do is on first load, instead of doing everything with our API or JavaScript, we're just going to render out the posts that were there when a user first loads in, maybe like the first 20 or something like that, paginate them. And then any new post will be rendered out via JavaScript, so we're not having to refresh the page. I see Justin's in the chat. I saw him mention my name. He says maybe Dennis will let us know if it's going to be on the channel. So what we're going to do, okay, this is, again, another plug. There is a link down in the video description for the Agora Devs YouTube channel. If I don't post this here, it will be posted there. I am going to make this into a full tutorial. I just love the idea of live streaming and hanging out with everyone, especially my boy Tadas. This is why I always bring him on. He's always a good time here. So if it's not here, subscribe to that channel. Make sure your notification bell is on. That's going to be the Agora Devs YouTube channel here. So let me pull this up. And Cody, I was watching your video if you're still in the stream. No, that's supposed to be a devs here. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see this later. Let's just do Astro because our channel is so new. It's got like 17 or 19 subscribers. We only have one video on it, but I will be putting stuff there. Oh, 26 subscribers. This is linked up in the video description. Check this out if you want to see that later. So quick plug there. All right. All right. So in the views, yeah, we're just sticking to Python for now, Python and Django. Let's go ahead and get our post in here. So from models.
Justin sent a message saying, asking if I still do electrical engineering, and let's build some cloud-based robots. And I've started to try to get back into Arduino and all. So I never really worked with Arduino because I did like the very low-level stuff. But I try to like learn Arduino just because it makes it so much easier. And I struggled. Like it was like it's been a while since I've done some like low-level or like embedded system stuff. But I'm planning to get back into and like learn the stuff again because I mean I guess I have all the basics there. Just got to remember how all that works.
Do you feel like you struggled because it was tough or because it was not interesting to you? Because I know you're a lot like me, where if it doesn't keep your interest, you get bored real quick.
So I actually I'm really interested in it. Like that's I wanted to like I think I enjoyed like hardware design maybe even more than coding. Like I like that like all that stuff still interests me a lot. It's just there was just so much more opportunities in app design and like website design and all that, like not design I guess, but like just development things that you can actually see. And if you're again I'm more entrepreneurial, I guess, not that I have anything successful out there, but
what about your last $1 billion unicorn?
Yeah. The unicorn's not there yet. Maybe I still need a couple more years, but yeah, there's definitely more opportunities there.
Yeah. Real quick here. Dang, I was working with Astro yesterday, and now it's got me all messed up. So with Django, you need to have 2 curly braces to get things working. So I'm already messing that up. So this is our public feed, and what I want to do here, this is a quick teaching moment. I want to be able to get the timestamp, but I want to be able to know how long I posted that or how long ago I posted something. Even though that's not my current time, it has me in a different time zone. So what we have here is something called a time since tag or filter. It's a filter, I believe. So we'll just do time since. So it's going to take the current time and then the time that this was posted, and then it's going to give me this value in minutes, and then it's going to change to days, and then I'm assuming years. I've never worked on something that was posted that long ago. Maybe I can try to modify that, but there we go. So we have our post. We're going to work on styling later, but we have a post here, and then we have the actual message. Get that rolling. So we are done with the first part of just rendering it out, building out the model. What I want to do next is actually build out a form to submit this post, but instead of refreshing the page, we're going to put the form in directly here, and we're going to use JavaScript to do that. So again, all the posts that were there before we load the site are going to be there, and then new posts will be added automatically. And I guess Cody was in the chat. So yeah, I was checking out your last video. So, oh, that was an older video. Okay. Not an older video, but an older post. Okay. So Tadas, sorry, you can keep going. I just want to make sure no one's pissed that I'm skipping too much. Again, there will probably be a full tutorial on this, so don't worry about that. Just make sure you're subscribed to both channels, Agora Devs and Dennis Ivy. And obviously Tadas's. By the way, Tadas, I didn't link up your YouTube channel. Sorry. If you want to post that in the chat, we can pin it. You're a moderator, so
it will let me pin stuff, but I mean, it's just my name. Just
Tadas Petra, yeah.
You search for it, it's there. And I mean, it's Flutter stuff, so a little different. But I have been trying out some new things and learning about more tech in general, just because it's interesting. Like, I think I only learned about how like the internet works a couple months ago. I'm serious. Like I knew, like, you know, signals get from A to B, but that there's just a whole bunch of wires under the ocean. It's just like a big mesh of wiring everywhere. Like, that's nuts. Crazy.
Okay, let's see, post form. So I'm gonna do something that's really against best practices, but I'm gonna put all my JavaScript right in here for now, just to figure that out, and then later on I'll probably move it out. But we're just gonna go ahead and do script tag here, and I believe I have to do type text / JavaScript, and then I can just wrap it.
So that time since part that you added, is that a Django specific thing?
Yeah, it's so Django has its own templating engine, and do you know Jinja by any chance? Are you familiar with that? No, Jinja, yeah, it's just a templating engine. Like with Express, you have one. I'm sure Flutter has one. Like you got the curly braces. You're able to basically add in, you know, dynamic functionality into a template. In this case, write Python-like code in your template. So Django has its own called. Well, no, I don't know. I don't think it has a name. I think it's just a Django templating engine. If I'm wrong on that, correct me. But yeah.
Do you ever get mixed up with like when you're working with different
languages?
like,
yeah,
frameworks?
Absolutely. Only for a little bit though. Like honestly, like once I get rolling with it, like give me like an hour or 4 to code, and then I'm set. Like it really, it's just like getting into the rhythm of it. It's like, you know, riding a bike. Like you may not, well, no one really forgets to ride a bike, but you know, once you get the hang of it, it might feel weird at first, and then you just go with it. But yeah, like right now, like I messed up the curly braces because yesterday I was working with Astro, you know, and I've been doing some Next.js stuff, some React stuff. So like just that whole thing of familiarizing yourself, but you never really forget it, you know. So what I'm going to do here is in this form, instead of refreshing the page, I'm not going to add a method here. I'm going to let JavaScript handle everything else here. So what I'm going to do here is just add an event handler for those of you that don't know JavaScript. And by the way, I opened up this comment right here because you say you're going to move something, then you don't do it because we're out of time or something like that. So yeah, that's always going to happen. So someone's asking what the strong tag does. That's just HTML. By the way, I'm having to literally go between 2 screens, so that's why I keep moving here and then I'm typing here. The strong tag makes things bold, so it's basically like a bold tag.
So okay, do you know why there's 2 different ones and 2 different ways to do it?
Let's look that up. Here,
I can look it up while you're working.
Yeah, just do strong tag versus bold tag and see what it is. I really don't think there is anything. I think it's just for readability, maybe for screen readers, but I don't know. Okay, so we're just going to do form.add event listener. So we want to listen for the submit event. So when that form is submitted, we're just going to go ahead and use an arrow function here. And we're going to respond to this event. The first thing we want to do is prevent default. So the form will refresh the page. And at this point, it's going to send a GET request because we haven't specified a method. So we want to prevent that default action. And then we want to get the body text. So we'll just do body text. And with JavaScript, we usually camel case things. So we'll just do e.target. So we're going to get the body value. So this value from the form, we're just getting that. So whatever the name was, e.target. .body.values. We're just getting that element, and then let's console this out, just make sure it's working. Console.log body text. So again, this is just the setup process. We're going to get to the full chat here in a second. So Let's open up the console. Make sure y'all can see that. And by the way, yesterday's stream, we definitely need to use an upgraded version of StreamYards, just because that was pretty bad quality. Okay, let me just comment out all of this for now. That was the boilerplate code that was in there.
I'm looking it up, and they try to pretend like there's some difference, but there's no difference really.
I can't think of there may be some small thing, but I can't think of a technical reason.
This is the reason they give. The main difference between the two tags is that the strong tag semantically emphasizes on the important word or section of words, while the bold tag is just offset text conventionally styled in bold. And then from what I understand is like you should use strong tag when there's more like words to left and right of it, so you can emphasize a word, and bold you can do it for like whole sections. But
gotcha. Okay.
It's just like, I mean, both work. Both will look the same.
Yeah. On a technical level, I would just say nothing. So 2 questions here. One, someone's asking about an event listener. If you don't know JavaScript, there is something called DOM manipulation. That's what I'd look into. You have these events. So you listen for a click, a submission, a mouse move. JavaScript can understand what you're doing in the DOM. DOM is the website, document object model. So we add events so we can listen for things that happen here. Someone's asking about prevent default, essentially, or e.prevent default. E is going to be, it's kind of like the self object in Python, or the this object in JavaScript. I might completely have this wrong, but it's like that object for the event. So like if I just console out E, and console is like your version of print. This is me talking to Python developers now. I always have to try to translate it. So first of all, let me just do this. We'll just do form.reset. So in a sense, I think I could just do form.prevent default. Maybe not. No, that's not the case.
If you hover over add event listener, I think it should give like a nice description of it. Never mind.
Yeah, not a nice one. So yeah, in fact, I won't get into that, but yeah, think of it as like the object for the event, all the information about the event, when it happened, what it's attached to, and so on. So we're able to get the event, get the target of the event. So the target would be the form, and then we're going into specific elements. So I just wanted to reset that form. So if we check this out, so if you notice, if we just say, hey here, the page will not refresh. In fact, let me just remove that because I think I did that on the first load. We'll just do hey, and then why is that happening? Hold on a second. Form.reset. Oh, I forgot to console it out. So console.log. Let's just do body text. Okay, so start here. We'll just do hey, hi. So the form's resetting. Here's a console. I don't know if you can see that. Let me try to zoom in a little bit. This is my third post. There we go. Okay, so the form is working. The page is not refreshing. So what we need to do now is we need to send this data to the backend, and we want to render it out. So there's a few things that we're going to take care of. So first of all, let's see. Let's start with the backend. So I want to send a message to the backend. So for this, I'm actually going to use the Django REST framework just because I like the way it works with data. I feel like it's a lot cleaner. So we're just going to have to install that. Just open up my terminal. Well, I actually already installed Django REST framework. So that was if I do this, pip install Django REST framework. I did this in the beginning, but just in case, that's how you do it. We have that. And then to actually connect it, we need to go to our apps or root directory settings file and then add in rest_framework to installed apps. Go ahead, Tadas. You got a question?
There was a question in the chat that I don't know the answer to, but it's why does Flask exist?
Why does Flask exist? It's the same reason why Django exists. Same reason why a framework like Flutter exists or React Native. Just another framework. You use Fast API, who uses Flask. Both are good. They're just different ways of doing it. Django is a more opinionated framework. It comes with a lot more. Personally, I love them way better than, or I love Django way more than Flask. But it's all about use case and what you're trying to accomplish. Flask is going to require a lot less setup, but the setup part is pretty simple in both frameworks anyways. But it's just another way of doing the same thing. With Flask, you're going to have to import a lot more third-party libraries, do a lot more configuration, where Django already has most of that ready to go for you. So that's why I love it. The opinionated part of Django, not really an issue. There's very few areas where you can't customize things completely on your own. So that's where, if that argument ever comes in, Django really doesn't hold you back from much.
Do you plan to set up a token server in the stream?
No, not yet. I might do that later. Did somebody ask that, or yes? Is that from you?
Oh, do you
How to prevent? Let's see. Do you plan to set up a token server in the stream? I was curious, how do you prevent anyone from joining? I guess I could do that. Let's leave that for the end. Let's see how the stream goes, and if I'm still active, we'll set it up. So, all right. So we have the Django REST framework. I'm just going to keep everything within the same view. Again, we're not going for best practices. I'm going to create a view here, and this is going to be called add post here. So this view will be responsible for taking in a JSON object from the front end, which will be what this form sends. We're going to use fetch to send some data. And then this view will be in charge of processing that and then returning it back to the front end. So once that post is made, it will be painted onto the DOM. By painted, I mean added onto or into the DOM here, into our window, non-JavaScript developers. Okay, so in order to use the view with the way Django REST framework wants us to use it, we'll just do from REST framework.serializers. We'll start, not serializers, from REST framework.decorators. We want a decorator, and the first one we're going to import is going to be at API view. So this is with function-based views. What we need to do here is we add this decorator, which essentially just modifies our functionality to our view or modifies a function. And we need to specify the request method, the HTTP method that we can take in, which is going to be post. So we're sending a post request to the backend and then returning. So we'll do return. And we have this function called the response, which we need to import from the Django REST framework. So we're going to do from REST framework.response, import the response object. The response object is going to give us some cool functionality here that you'll see in a second. So we'll just say, let's see, we'll take in the data. So we'll just say data is equal to request.data. So we can do that. So that's what this decorator does for us right here. Otherwise, you'd have to do something like request.post. So that's the functionality Django REST framework gives us. And then we're going to print the data. So I want to be able to debug this just in case. We'll say data. And then with this data, we want to go ahead and do post is equal to post.objects.create. And there's different ways of doing this, but I'm just going to use a create method. And we'll just say body is going to be equal to, how do I want to send this data? So we'll just do data.body. So that's the object that we're going to send.
Do you know any professional Django courses you could recommend?
Mine.
That's that was a question in the comments.
Check out my Django course. I have a free one on YouTube. I'm actually, so here's a cool thing that a lot of people are going to be happy about that I haven't shared publicly. Only Tadas knows about this. I am writing a Django book. And what I'm doing here is, instead of making it a course, a paid course where you eliminate a lot of people because not everyone can afford to pay for a course, I'm going to make a new Django 2023 course that's going to come out hopefully by early next year or maybe by New Year's. I'm going to make the course. It's going to be free on YouTube, but we're going to be referencing the book. So if you want to buy the book, that's how I'm going to be able to monetize it, because YouTube ads do not pay enough for me to do all this. So I'm going to try to sell the book, a digital version and a hard copy of it, but we're going to be referencing the book a lot. So whoever can support me, whoever can afford it, hopefully buys the book, because there are going to be incentives there. But yeah, that course is going to be pretty sick. We're going to build out something pretty awesome. Maybe I'll demo that at some point here. So, okay, so we're sending the data with here right now. Let's just respond with this text right here. I just want to make sure everything's working. And what the heck did I click there? Okay, so in our feed, so right here on event listener, we're going to create another function, and we'll just say submit data. And this is going to be an async function.
So I might have to leave soon, but before I go, sure, I got a couple of Django related questions for you, and they're also in the chat related to some of the chat questions. So what kind of front end, what's the front end part of Django look like? Is it like server side rendering, like Next.js and all those things, or is it
it's server side rendering. So this is what the template looks like. Django just renders a template, and then we have this syntax here. We basically have these tags and variables. So like right here, so we have these posts here that we're looping through. So it's pretty readable, right?
Right.
You have this list or this query set. It's an array for JavaScript developers, a list for Python developers. we're able to loop through this post right here and then use these things called variables, which are double curly braces. So that's the language. So you have tags, which are these curly brace with a % symbol, and then we have the variables. So we essentially just use these views right here. We pass it in as our third parameter with the render method. We specify the template we want to render, and then we just pass in the data here. So I passed in the post, ran a query to the database, passed it in, and then we have access to that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but essentially we have these, we pass the data to it, and then we can even write conditions. So I can say something like, let's say this was some kind of bar website, right? Let's say you can buy alcohol. So we can say if age is greater than or equal to, right? Is that how you do greater than or equal to? Oh, greater than or equal to 21. And then we'll just do something like, you can enter the bar or something like that. And then we always close our conditions. So we just do end if. Gotcha. So instead of, so you always have to have that closing attribute. So we can write a lot of functionality like this.
And what kind of projects would you use Python for? I guess, so there's a couple questions about, can you build this type of app with Django? I mean, and I'm assuming for most.
What's this type of app? Or are you just kind of vaguely speaking?
CRM, a real-time chat app, and all that stuff. So I'm assuming the answer is yes, but.
Yes, but it's going to there's some caveats to it. You are probably going to need third-party packages. Like, I'm going to say it right now, most applications you're going to build, or at least the bigger ones, are going to need some form of JavaScript in them just for UI interactivity there. So Django can build it, but it's only one part of it. It's a tool to do server-side rendering. It has this templating engine, but like real-time chat, right? Like even with Django, you're going to have to use something like Django channels or Agora. That's what we're using here. And then on the front end, you're going to need JavaScript to connect to it. So you can't just use Django. You're going to need a lot more than just that. So it handles one part of it.
Yeah.
Great for building out APIs, by the way. Like I absolutely love it for that.
Gotcha. Well, all right. I think I will have to leave for the rest of this. I wish you the best of luck.
I love having you here, man. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate you joining. Sounds good. All right.
All right. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So I guess it's just being here. Let's try doing this. Let's try going full screen. Hopefully I don't block out too much code here. That might be easier to see. So right now what we're doing is we're creating a function to submit the data. This is going to be all asynchronous. So we're using fetch here. We're going to send the request to this endpoint, which with Django, we're going to have to throw in a trailing /. And this is going to be for the add post view. So let's create the URL here. Did I create it? No, I did not. So we're going to create this path here. And I'll try to watch the chat. This is where it's nice to have the DOS in here. Someone's asking what the % symbols and for is used for. That's to create a loop. That's what we're able to do that. We're able to loop through a query set, a for loop. Okay. HTMX, yeah, that's actually a good point. I haven't really used it, so not. I like JavaScript, so I'll just stick to that. And thank you, Austin. You're awesome. Yeah, Tadas is a pretty awesome guy. Who's that from? That's from the Poncho. All right, let's focus on the code. So this is the endpoint. We're just going to do add. We'll do views dot add post, and I'm not going to give it a name. We'll just leave it like that, just because I'm not doing any redirects with this. I did that with the home page, but not with this one. So we're sending the request to this endpoint, which goes to this view right here, and in our feed, we have our JavaScript that's sending it to add. We have to specify the method here. So because this is going to take care of that post request, we'll just do method that's equal to post. I want to make sure I'm writing this out. Then we want the headers here. I want to specify the content type. And this is going to be JSON data. So that's what we're sending. Content type application / JSON. And then we can send the body. And we are going to need a CSRF token, which I'm going to find a hack around that. So we'll work on that. But with this body, so we specify the method, we throw in the headers for the body. Unfortunately, with the fetch API, we're going to have to do JSON.stringify. So we're going to have to turn this into a string and then send it as a string and then parse it on the other side, which the Django REST framework is going to do for us by default. So we'll just throw in the body right here. So that's going to be the key. The value is going to be, let's just do form data. So we're going to pass in this value, and let's get the body text and throw that into submit data. So we're going to call this function right here, pass in the body text as a parameter. So here's our submit data. In fact, I'll just keep the name here the same. So we'll do body text right here. And then for the body, we're just passing that in. So we're going to have a key value pair in the backend, and we'll just give this a shot. We are going to print it out right here. So we should get that response. So as we get the response here, when to use async await, what is the rule of thumb? I'm going to try to explain that briefly without spending too much time on that. Essentially, when you need something to, when you need an action to work in a, let's see, cascading format. So let me try to put that in better terms. When I need to wait for some kind of response, essentially, we use async await. So it waits for one action to be complete before another action can continue. So with JavaScript, for example, let's say if we have like a bunch of functions that are just executed, if one function, whoever that is, I'm going to go ahead and put the, or hide that message. Please, no profanity in there. Basically, if I have a bunch of functions executing, the functions are going to execute immediately, right? One function is not going to wait for the other function to finish. So if one function takes a little bit longer to complete, we can use something like await, which basically says wait for this function to complete before continuing with the other action. So it's a way to ensure that everything's done in a proper order, where with Python, it's not asynchronous, so it actually will go and wait for one function to complete before another does. That's going to be a rough explanation of it. So we'll see this in a second. So essentially, if I don't put a wait here, if I have another function, let's say print hello will actually execute before this is completed, because this will take longer because it has to make a request to the backend and so on. So what I'm going to do here is call in or throw in await, and await is going to wait for this action to complete before we execute the next one. So that's why we're adding that. But in order to use await, we add in async to the function. Someone's saying promises are better. Nah, I don't think so. Promises are old school. It is the same idea, but yeah, definitely don't like it. It's not clean, in my opinion. Okay, so we're getting that data from this response. So we submit that, and then we're just going to have to parse that. So we're going to go into response.json, and let's just see what we get back from the front end. So this response should be whatever this view gives us. So it should just say data submitted, and then later on we'll actually return the message, and we'll just do await. Okay, so here's a practical example. So if I want to print this data, it might take me a second to parse this data, right? So we do response.json. We're just parsing that, turning it into JSON data. If I didn't throw in await there, what's going to happen here is this print function will run before that, and then it's going to throw an error because it doesn't know what this value is. It's going to be null or undefined, something like that. Okay, so let's try this out. Oh, did I throw in a print statement? Yeah, it's supposed to be console.log. Someone probably already caught that. Is JavaScript multi-threading or single-threading? I believe it's a multi-threading language. Yeah, it technically runs on a single thread, but I'm not. There's some kind of explanation that makes it kind of like a multi-threading language. That's kind of the hard part. Yeah, so it kind of solves that issue. Okay. Console. Let's try this again. Okay. All right, so there we go. It's actually working. We're going to ignore this error, but essentially we see our original message. And here we get back the data, and it says CSRF token missing. So we haven't added in a CSRF token. We're going to bypass that right now, but essentially everything's working. And then if I go to the backend, open up the terminal, I should see the message somewhere here. Okay, so right now, basically, when you typically submit a Django form, we add in something like a CSRF token. You probably have seen this right here. So you do CSRF _ token and something like that. So what I'm going to do here, because we're using the Django REST framework, I'm just going to completely eliminate the need for the CSRF token. So there is a CSRF exempt decorator that we could put on our view that won't require it. But what I'm going to do here is just handle authentication with a a simple JWT library. So Django REST framework. So there's this authentication library that lets us change how we do it, whether it's with JSON web tokens or sessions. I'm just going to do simple JWT, and that's going to eliminate the need for that. So it's kind of a hacky fix to it, but it's going to work for now. So let's see. So we'll do, I'm just going to look it up directly. So we'll just do simple JWT. So essentially, to make this work, we're just going to go ahead and install simple JWT here. So pip install Django REST framework simple JWT. Let's try to zoom in a little bit. And we're just going to bring that into the terminal. I'll open this up in a new tab here. Okay, so we have that. In order to make that work, what we need to do is override the default authentication mechanism. So there's this REST framework object right here, or a dictionary, and we're just going to set this up in settings.py. So this is how we can decide how to handle authentication with the Django REST framework. By default, it's session authentication, and we're just going to override that. So I'm going to paste this in below installed apps, and we'll just get rid of this. So the default authentication class is now REST framework simple JWT authentication. So that's what that did. And with that, by default, we don't need the CSRF token. So again, it's kind of a hacky fix, but it's going to work for now. Okay, so let's try that again. And I guess I have 2 pages open for that. So we'll just do hello. Okay. Okay, so we jump to the next step. It looks like it's working. We just have a different error. Let's see. So let's go to the back end. So at this point, forbidden add. Did I not set the post method? So it's allowing a post request in API view. Let's try this one more time. So okay, so syntax unexpected. Did I not stringify it? Maybe I didn't stringify the data. Okay, dict option or object has no attribute body. Okay, so I think what I need to do here is change how I'm getting the actual body data. So I think I could just do this right here. In fact, before we actually create this, let's just print out what data looks like. Okay, so now we have no errors. So it was in that process of destructuring the data from the front end. Hello, so body is hello. So I think I just accessed that as a typical dictionary. So I think that should work. So just use the brackets around it. Okay, so that worked. If you look right here, you notice that the message is not rendering here, but if I refresh it, then it should render here. Okay, so let's actually change the order. So we'll just go to post.objects.all. We'll do .order_by, and we'll just do -created. So that should order it in a descending order. So basically, the newest object is going to be first. So we're just using the created value from the model. Let's try that one more time. Test. Okay, and then when I refresh it, there we see test. So it's adding it, everything's working. So now what I want to do is go ahead and paint this to the DOM here. So once someone's saying refresh the server, I'm not sure, maybe that was to the error, but right now we're definitely not going to be refreshing it. This is going to be done asynchronously, but you probably were referring to something else. So at this point, we have the data, and on the front end, it just lets us know the data was submitted. So this is the response from the view. So we have data submitted, and that's it. So I actually want to return this object right here. So what I'm going to do here is create something called a serializer, which essentially is going to take our object and turn it into JSON data. And then I want to return that entire object. So inside of base, we're just going to go to new file, create a serializers.py file. You can actually create these wherever you want, but it's better to separate them. So we'll just do from REST framework.serializers, and we're going to import a model serializer, not model field, but model serializer. Okay, so that model serializer is going to be a class here, and we're just going to go ahead and using the method of using the model name and then serializer. And we'll just do model serializer. So we're going to inherit from that. We're going to do class meta, and the two minimal or two required fields are going to be the model that we want to serialize, which is going to be post, and we need to import that. Still trying to watch the chat. Yeah, the live stream will be available either on this channel or on the Agora Devs YouTube channel, which is linked up in the video description. So make sure to subscribe to that. So we'll just do from, let's see, .models, import post, and then we'll get the fields. So the fields can either be just underscore all, so use a dunder method, is that what it's called? So we can do that, or we can specify what fields we want in a list. So we can say something like render the body, render created. So if we want to limit what fields, this will also work, but we're just going to stick to the shortcut of all because there are no fields that we want to limit right now. So we have the serializer. We'll go to our views. Let's import that serializer from .serializers, import post serializer. And we're going to use this right here. So once we create the post, we're going to go ahead and set the serializer value. That's going to be post serializer. So this is how we actually serialize the post. We use that serializer. We throw in the model that we want to serialize. So right here, we created the post. We have the object, and we're going to set many to false. So if you do many is true, that means you're trying to return back a query set. If you want to serialize a single object, you just do false, and that will give you one object. And Praveen, by the way, hit me up on Discord if you want to join the chat. It's always nice having somebody here with me while we're coding. So that's Lord Fullstack in the chat here. So let me know. You can hop on, and we can build this out together. Okay, so we serialize that, and we want to return that data. So we're going to remove this, and we're going to do serializer. And specifically, we need the data attribute because the serializer will give you the entire object, but we need the data attribute, which will return back the serialized, I guess, the JSON data to what we're trying to do here. So I'll just watch my my phone for Praveen's message if he wants to join. So give me a second. So hit me up on Discord, Praveen, if you want to join, and I will send you an invite. Just keep that open. All right. So now if I refresh it, you notice the time keeps changing here because we let time go by. So we have testing. Here we go. We get back that object. We have the created value with the timestamp, body is testing, and then the ID of that post. So that's what we wanted. So once we get back that post, it's inside of data. And what I'm going to do here is create another function because we want to repeat this functionality later. We're just going to go ahead and create a function called add message to DOM. So we want to take that post and add it to the DOM because now this is going to be done via JavaScript. So let's see. I don't need to make this an async function, but let's just do it just in case. It doesn't really hurt us. We want to pass in the actual message here. And let's continue with the function. Bring this up so everyone can see that. And with this, essentially what I want to do is go ahead and grab this this wrapper right here, and I want to add the new message at the top here. So I'm going to give this an ID, and I see, by the way, Code with Clinton is in the chat. Good to have you here, Clinton. Awesome YouTube channel, does a lot of Django stuff. I know somebody asked about Django courses and related content. Definitely check out this channel right here that's posted. You can click on his link and should pull up his channel. So the ID for this is going to be post underscore list, not lists, but list with without an S. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're just going to go ahead and get post list, and I'll camel case it with JavaScript, and we're going to get that object with or get the ID with document.get element by ID. We're going to get the post underscore list, double underscore. So make sure to do that if you're following this later. And once we get the post list, what I want to do is create the post wrapper. And this is going to use backticks here because we're going to pass in some dynamic data. But essentially what I'm going to do here is take this entire div right here, and we're just going to create a new document object or a new, let's say, element within our HTML. We're just going to add it. So Let's go ahead and remove that. We'll paste in this entire value. So again, those are backticks and not the quotes, not single quotes. So once we do that, I can just go ahead and modify this. So we'll remove the double curly braces. We'll do a single curly brace, add in the dollar symbol there, and then we can do message.created. So we're taking these values now. So we're taking that response and we're passing that in, which is going to be passed in through the parameter here. So the message.created, we don't have the time since filter anymore. And then we'll just do message.body, remove the double curly braces. And that should do it. So once we create that, then we can go into post list dot insert, not inner HTML, but we'll do insert adjacent HTML. And we want to insert this at the top of the list. So we'll just do after begin. So you can do before begin, after end. Basically, it tells you, it lets us know where we're going to place this element inside of the post list wrapper. We're going to do after begin, which basically puts this at the top right here. So we want to put this at the top. I'm over explaining now. So, and then we want to throw in the object that we want to actually pass in. So that's going to be the post wrapper. So we're taking this right here and throwing it into the post list. So let's try that. Then we want to take this function and we want to throw this in right here. So after we console that out, let's go ahead and do this. And let's see, we have data. Yeah, so we just return back the entire object. We'll just throw in data, which is going to be our message right there. All right, let's debug it, see what happens here. Praveen says waiting on the link for Discord. Give me 1 second. Let me create that invite for you. All right, Praveen, you have it. So once you join, I'll bring you on here. It just really helps me when I have somebody here chatting with me. I'll probably start doing this more often with live streams. Okay, what's the syntax, the arrow function in JS? So basically, in JavaScript, you're able to create functions in multiple ways. One is going to be just to use the function keyword, just like you would in Python, function like that. So this is how you typically create a function in JavaScript, right? This is equivalent to the Python def method. So we do function, and then I almost forgot how to create a function normally, but let's say my function. So you have the function name, and that's it. With Python, you would just do my underscore function, something like this. And then use the colon there. So we have the arrow function, which we can create a function by just using that right there. So we have the parameter, and then we have the arrow syntax, and then the curly brace right there. So that's it. Except for to create the function name, you would just use something like const or let, and then do my function. So that's essentially what we're doing. So it should be fairly self-explanatory if you look at these two. So try to follow that. Basically, we're recreating this with the arrow syntax. Now here, the reason why we don't have a function name, actually we do have a function name. In some cases, like in submit data right here, this function doesn't need a name because we're calling it within the event listener, not the submit data, but add event listener. So we didn't even need a name here. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that made sense, actually, because I like to see if what I just said resonated with anybody. Okay, so Praveen is here. What's up, Praveen?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Good, good. Yeah, I can hear you good.
Yeah.
Maybe try to turn it up a little bit. It sounds a little bit quiet. So we'll just move to this so we're not blocking anything.
Just a second. How is it sounds now?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's working. Yeah. All right, so
You're up
real
to-
quick, Praveen, I want you to introduce yourself while I'm doing this, but right now let's just test this out. So we'll just do test.
Yeah, sure.
So here we go. So something's working, posted, and then for some reason, okay, so it is working. So let's do this. Let's real quick, let's add in some separation between these two, and then we'll actually style them. So let's put in a line break. Now we have this ugly timestamp, which we're gonna have to do with JavaScript, but we'll just say this is my first post with JS. So we see posted, we have this ugly timestamp, and then we see the post. So it's happening asynchronously. The page isn't reloading. I can see it, but the only issue here now is that another user will not see this. And I had a way of splitting screens, but I don't know how to do that now. So like the issue here is if I just say, hey, the other user on the other end will not see this post, so they will have to refresh it. So this is where we're going to add the Agora SDK to throw in this functionality. So yeah, Praveen, what's going on, man? What are you up to?
Nothing. Just I was just chilling out, and I opened the YouTube. I said, "No, Dennis is live. Let's jump in."
Yeah. Praveen, you know enough JavaScript, so it's like a self-calling function. That's the question here. It's
Recursion?
No, the whole syntax, the arrow syntax where I didn't give it a name. It's not a self. I mean, that's the correct answer, but it's a
anonymous, I guess.
Anonymous function. Yeah, there was something like
that is anonymous. Callback?
Not a callback, I don't think. But yeah, basically you initiate the function right away. That's basically the idea. Yeah.
Just a shorter way to write a function, and it is come to very handy when you don't want to write the return statement explicitly, so you can just write whatever you want to return at the end of the arrow.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to add some styling. So we have most of the functionality done. I'm going to add some styling, just very little, just so we can separate it before before we start adding in the Agora SDK. Now, why don't I see the line breaks here? That's weird.
And maybe they're working different with WebKit.
Oh, I see. No, because I added the HR tag with this one, but not the built-in one. So I'm going to add in the CSS. So real quick, let's connect our static files, and we'll add in some CSS. So you're, I guess, yeah. How are things going? Are you working with Shuvo today? What's going on?
Yeah, I had no work recently, so I finished up some styling that Emily gave to me, and right now Emily told me to send me some work on Monday, but it is Wednesday, and I guess it is Wednesday today, right? Yeah, it's Wednesday, and they still haven't sent me, so I'm waiting for some work, and right now I'm free, but
cool. For those of you that don't know, Praveen and I actually met. How did we meet? Oh, through the open source. Yeah, through the open source Mumble project. And Praveen currently works at Agora as a contractor at the moment. He's doing awesome work, and I'm sure a lot of people on my channel know who Shuvo is, Sharir Shuvo. He also works at Agora, and they're rebuilding the doc. So we're going to have an entirely new doc center. So anything that you see in this video, once we start using Agora, it's going to be pretty different. Let's just say styling and everything, the content on it. So Cody has there we go. Immediately invoked function expression. Is that right? Is that if you declare a function, then invoke it directly after? Yeah. So Cody's got the answer. Cody's a JavaScript legend. Him and Shu are probably two of the best JavaScript developers.
I watch a lot of the React content of Cody, so like he's super awesome, and he's too advanced for me to learn.
Yeah, it makes me feel like an amateur. Him and Shuvo. Every time I code something, Shuvo's always giving me a better way to do it, which I learned a lot from. But makes me feel like a noob.
It's okay.
His nice way of saying, he's like, yeah, Dennis, it works, but it doesn't work. It's not optimal or something like that. He always calls it out. For the terminology, he basically says there's a way of doing things, but then there's always a better way of doing things. So there's no wrong way technically. Yeah, exactly. He's basically saying you want to make sure it's readable for everyone. So really quick, for whoever doesn't know, I created a static folder. This is where I'm going to hold my JavaScript files, CSS files, and so on. And then I have to just let Django know where to find it. So we have static files. Hold on. No, I did this wrong. So static files, DIRs, I believe. Yeah. And then we point to the base directory, just like what we did with our templates. We're just pointing to the static folder. And then to use these, we're going to go into our feed.html page. We have to use this tag right here called load static, where we're going to load in the static files. And then in order to actually use the CSS here, we're going to go ahead and uncomment one of these links. We'll just remove the main JS file. So in order to actually point to it, we're going to have to use the static tag, and then we're going to go ahead and use single quotes because we have, or double quotes because we have single quotes on the outside, and we're pointing to styles/main.css. Okay, and I just added the color red so we can see everything right away. So just want to make sure it's connected so we see that this is working. Cool. All right, I'm gonna add some styling here. Hey, Cody, if you're in the chat, what was that website you used to draw up? Like you did that for the last video you did for Agora. There was like a mock-up that you made. I literally just used the website, and now I don't remember what it was. In fact, maybe I could go into my browser. What was it?
Calibra.
Calibra?
Calidra, I guess.
With a C?
Excalibur. Let me send you. I'm not sure if this is what you're looking for, but
it probably is. It sounds right. It's something draw. That was a website. So
I've sent you in the chat, a private chat.
Excalibur. Okay, here we go. So I literally saw your video and I loved how it looks. So this is basically what I'm going to create here. So I'm not going to add much styling. I'm just going to center the actual messages and make sure there's separation between them. And then we'll get into it. So we have our form at the top, and then we'll create this enter your name section. So let's see. The first thing is, let's go into our feed. Let's add in a section tag here. We'll give it a class main container. And then we'll just take this closing tag. So we'll just wrap everything. So that's before the closing body tag. And I'm going to fix some indentation here. And I could just get rid of this H1 tag. So I don't need that. So we have main container. Did you see the beginning of the stream, Praveen? You kind of know what we're doing here. I just realized.
I'm not sure. So what are you doing right now? I had no idea.
Gotcha. So essentially, we're just we're building out a real-time chat app. We're using the Agora SDK. A lot of people know Agora for video and audio chat, but they have one of my favorite features of Agora is their real-time SDK. So like real-time signaling, basically. So instead of using something like Django channels, which no disrespect to the creators of Django channel, I just do not like it. There's way too much configuration.
Configuration and abstractions.
You're having to manage. You have to manage channels. You have to manage sockets. I would way rather use an SDK like Agora and just use their signaling.
Yeah, just makes the life a lot easier.
Yep. Okay, so all I want to do is center the main container. So I'll have to save here and save the feed. So if I refresh it now, I kind of want this syntax. Let me find a Google font with this syntax. For some reason, it's not centering. I think I have to just do width. That instead of max width. Okay, main container. Did I do this wrong? Is it a class?
Yeah, I guess it is correct.
Let's just try debugging like pros here, and we'll just add an aqua or azure color. Okay, so it's working. The container width is not being set. Or is that just because I'm zoomed in? Oh yeah, it's because I'm zoomed in. Okay, so let's do this. Let's minimize the width even more. Let's just do 600 pixels.
Yeah. Did you bought a new Mac PC or a new Mac Studio?
This is a Windows, or sorry, not a Windows, MacBook. Yeah, so this is what Agora provided me. She's in that one. Yeah. Nice. Someone said, "Damn, we truly are millennial boomers with that raw CSS. Only thing missing is PHP." I already talked about this yesterday. I started using Tailwind, and maybe I'll get into it eventually. But I don't know what's wrong with vanilla CSS. I like to keep it simple. Here's the thing, as somebody that makes videos like this and teaches, I can't use the latest and greatest thing because that means I just eliminate so much of my audience. If I were doing this just for fun, then yeah, I would use everything. But I'm trying to make sure everyone can follow. And no, I'm not a Mac dev. I'm just getting used to it. I hate Mac so bad. I wanted to switch back to a Windows, but I do know that there are cases where I need it. So I'm using it just to force myself. I really don't like Mac. I really don't like Mac. I can't even explain how much I don't like Mac. There's very few features. Like I love this right here, right? I love being able to slide back and forth. I'm assuming you can do that on a Windows laptop, but it just doesn't work as well. So let's see. We'll do Google.
We can do that with Windows if you have proper gesture on the laptop. Yeah.
Oh, I'll probably just configure that. Yeah.
Yeah, we can just configure that.
Okay, like it's Google Fonts. Let's do so this is like a handwritten font. So I'm gonna Google it up. So I'm gonna do handwritten. If anyone knows a Google font that looks like this right here, let me know. I wanna.
Let me search for it.
Mac is truly bad for it does. I mean, I don't know. I just don't really like it. I know it's me being stubborn. Like if I get used to it, I'm probably gonna become the biggest Mac advocate. What am I doing? Oh. Is that the right way to look it up? Google font, handwriting, Google font, hand. Okay, there should be. I think Google knows what I'm talking about. They'll find one for me.
Yeah,
lettering,
just to
typeface.
whisper what you want.
Okay. All right, it's not. Google apparently doesn't know what I'm looking for. Handwriting to help Austrian students. No, that's not what I needed. Let me just try looking it up.
Yeah, I'm also looking for on Google Fonts, just scrolling down to see what I can best match font for.
I use Windows for the longest time for gaming and stuff. Windows is also great. I've just been using Mac since work gave me a MacBook Pro. I never switched back to Windows. Maybe that'll be me. Like I said, I'm only doing it to get used to it. Comic Sans? Is Comic Sans, what does that look like? Is it really that handwritten? Yeah, okay, it kind of does. Yeah, let's just do it. Is that built in? Like,
Maybe.
let's see, maybe Google
No,
Font
no.
has one. Do they really change up their website? I don't know how to find a font now. Oh, fonts. Okay.
Fonts.google.com.
Are they? Yeah, it's not working.
Come on, man. Let me send you in the private chat.
Can you send me an import tag? Maybe that will.
Yeah, I'm just looking for how I can export it. Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
I'm sending you in
doing
the
this in the
chat.
private chat. Oh, can you
Yeah.
send it to me? No.
I have sent you the import URL and
The problem here is I don't know if you saw my setup. I'm literally using 2 laptops.
yeah.
Send it to this one, but this is where you're at in this chat. Oh,
Okay.
I just realized. Never mind. I figured it out because I'm being dumb here, but I literally have.
Okay. Send me the live share URL. I can paste it there.
Okay. So I do have the private chat. So as long as there's. Now everyone gets to see our private chat. Okay, so let's bring this in right here.
And I guess you will have to put this font family Corrales serif into body tag, I guess. Right?
I should be able to just do this right here. I'll just apply it to everything. Should work.
Yeah.
There's that ugly red. All right. I mean, it kind of works, right? Oh, yeah. It's not exactly the one that I would be looking for. If you can find something like this, Praveen,
I'm
let me
just
know.
looking for it right now.
I'm not the biggest fan of this right here. Okay, so let's not get stuck on that. Let's quickly style our form. And I'm actually really bad at styling forms, but let's see. Let's get some lorem ipsum text here. I want to write a longer message and see what that looks like. And then I promise we'll get to the Agora SDK. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this even more. Let's just do 400 pixels. Pretty much just make it mobile. Okay, so that's our live feed. We have the message here. Okay, so let's work on that real-time messaging. So for the Agora part, essentially what we're going to do here is we are going to need to create an account with Agora. we're going to download their RTM SDK. So they have multiple SDKs. We're going to download the Agora RTM SDK, and then we'll log into our account, configure an app, and then we're going to have to basically get those app credentials and put them into our website here. So let's do this. So we'll just do Agora. Let's start with the SDK here. Let's go to their website. We'll go to developers, developer resources. We'll go to SDK downloads. And there's different ways of doing this. We could use NPM for this, but we're just going to stick to manually doing this, again, to not exclude anybody. Excel draw. I'm not the only one. So let's do that Excel draw. How do you say it? Excel draw?
Excalibra.
Excalibra?
Yeah.
Okay, so SDKs here, we're going to go to web. So we have SDKs for all these platforms. We'll go to web, and we want their real-time messaging SDK, which that name should actually change soon. Okay, I'm getting really close to accidentally closing this tab. So I'm sure, again, I'm doing everything manually.
Yeah.
What's up? You found the font?
Yeah, I found the font, but it is paid.
Oh, it's a paid font? Oh, dang it. Whatever,
Yeah.
we'll just stick to what we have. So we'll go to the libs folder, and we're going to get the JS file. I'm doing things so manually, but whatever. Okay. So we have that. Let's bring this in. So what I'm going to do is drag this into our static folder. And let's actually move that out from there. So this is the SDK. Let's create a file here called JS. So this will be where we store all our JavaScript files. So the JS, we'll throw in the Agora SDK there. Oh no, we created a file, not a folder. Still learning how to use the command key on Mac here. Okay, so that's in our JS folder. So we're going to go into feed here. What I'm going to do is just add this above all my JavaScript. So we're just going to do script here, create some space. And then with the script tag, you use source, right? So it's source. And then we already have that static tag loaded. So we're just going to do static. And then we're going to point to with single quotes here, JS / and then the name here. So let me just rename it. We'll just do Agora RTM. We'll just keep that simple. So Agora -RTM. And that's what we can render this here. So Agora -RTM.js. So just to make sure it's working, if we go to our site here, once I open this up and refresh it, if I go to inspect element, I should see some stuff consoled out from the Agora SDK. So that'll let us know we're connected. So let me just refresh that. Okay. Static JS Agora RTM JS. I think I did that right. Maybe I lied about that other part. I might just have to start writing some code before we actually see that. So let's just start here. In order to actually work with this, we need a few things from Agora. So we need an app ID. We're going to need, typically we need a token for this. In fact, we'll do this. So we'll just do let. Actually, I'll just use const because we're not modifying these. So we need an app ID here. Token. We need a UID, so we'll just capitalize that. We'll add that in a second. And let's see, we also need channel name. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to create these channels. So that's how users can talk to each other in real time, as long as we're all on the same channel. You could also directly message users by an ID. So there's different functions for all this. But we're just going to message a channel. And for now, we're going to set this as one channel. So we're only going to have one channel. It's going to be called main. But later on, when you want dynamic rooms, you can create this with some kind of ID or something like that. There's different ways to establish this, but we're going to stick to this. So in order to get our app ID, we're going to go to the dashboard here. And there are going to be some credentials that are going to be private to me, but I will just delete them almost immediately. So that way my account can't be messed with here. But once you're in your Agora console, you'll want to log in. Let's just go back to the Agora website. So Agora.io, log in here. And we're going to have this section right here. So project management, we're going to have our projects here. So I'm testing out different projects. In fact, what I'm going to do here is go ahead and just create a new one. So we'll just call this public chat 2. So we're going to create a new project, and there's different ways. So if I use this one right here with app ID only, essentially you only need your app ID to actually connect to this app. But we're going to use this method here. And essentially, we're going to need an app ID and a token in order to actually use this. So we're going to set up our use case right here, social, chat room, and then we're going to create it. So if you use this, you're going to need that token. So right now, I'm going to take my app ID. Again, we're not going for best practices right now. We're just going to throw everything in here. So we're throwing in the app ID. And then for the token, again, we'll just do it right here. Let's go ahead and go to config here. So we need to generate a temporary token. So we're going to go here. We're going to generate a temporary token. We need to throw in our channel name. So this token will actually expire after 24 hours. And then there is a way to automatically generate this later. So we're going to create something called a token server. I don't know if we'll do that in this video, but essentially we'll be able to generate these tokens. This is how we handle authentication. So we're just going to take that token. Again, I'm going to delete all this really quick. So we have our information. So you shouldn't be able to see that entire token name anyways. So we have the token. And then for the UID, there is actually a method here that I'm going to use to actually generate that. So give me 1 second. Any questions in the chat, Praveen?
No, just someone said nice crib, Praveen.
Nice what?
Crib. I don't know
Crib,
how to pronounce that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you got it right. Crib. Okay, so we have that token for the UID. Basically, for RTM, this can be virtually any string value. I know with RTC, it has to be a number between an integer between 1 and 232, but we're just going to stick to that. So we're just going to create a string here, and we're going to do math.floor. And I'm cheating a little bit here. I'm just looking at some code that I wrote earlier, and we're going to do math.random. And in here, we're just going to do multiplied by 232. So we're going to have a random number generated by 232. Okay, and that should generate a UID for each user. So we have our information. We have our app ID, which we got from our Agora console. We generated a token that's going to expire after 24 hours. So if this video, let's say you're following this along later and it takes you more than 24 hours, go to your Agora console, go recreate that token. You can rewind and see how I did that. We generate the UID, and then we have the channel name. Now, in order to actually log in here, first of all, we're going to create a value for our client. So we're going to need a client, which is basically going to be the interface to access all the Agora functionality. And then we're going to need a channel. So this is the specific channel that users will be in. So these are going to be two different objects that provide us with a bunch of functionality. So the first thing we're going to need to do is log in. So we need to log in using that Agora client. We'll create a function called initiate. So initiate RTM, and we're going to make this an async function. And in here, in order to log in, we're going to go ahead and do client. So we're going to set this client object, and we can use await because we have the Agora SDK added in right here. Let's see if it worked fine. We'll just do Agora RTM. So we have access to this dot create instance. So we're creating an instance of that client object. By the way, Praveen, if you I want to make sure that you have the freedom if you need to go. I don't want to hold you up, okay? So feel free to pop out if you need.
No, I'm just
some people feel
chat.
Some people feel like obligated to stay and always feel bad. I'm like, I need to make sure to at least give you that room.
Okay.
So you don't feel like you're ditching me. Cool. Okay. One day I want to be live streaming along with you. You have a channel? Yeah. Of course, you should definitely do it. At crib equals home, Felix. Okay,
Hi,
so we just
everyone.
logged into the client object. So here we go. So this means that our SDK is connected. We just created a client object, and then were you saying something, Praveen?
No, someone just say bye, Praveen. He was expecting me to
Oh,
leave.
gotcha. So we have, okay, so we created the client object, but then we need to log in. I swear my screen color just changed for some reason. I thought my battery's dying. So now we need to log in. So we're just going to do, let's see here. We're just going to call await. And then we'll do client.login. So we create the client object, then we log in. Once we log in with the client, so basically our user is now connected, we need to set the channel information. And here we use await, and then we use the client object now, and we use this client to create a channel. So we're going to create a channel, but what this function is going to do is essentially, if this channel is not already created, it'll create it. If it is, it'll just simply join the channel, and then the channel is going to be the channel name. So this is simply going to be a string. So right now, again, we're not going to be able to create multiple rooms. We have one channel, and that is called main. So we're doing that. We go ahead and create or join this channel. And then, well, we create it. If it's already there, then we just connect to it, and then we join it. So we're just going to do channel.join. So we join the channel itself. And let's see if everything's working correctly. Okay, we have some errors, login failed. That's because I didn't provide the credentials to this login. So when I try to log in here, we need a UID, and that's going to be the UID here. And then we need a token. And that's going to be our token right here. Okay, so we need our credentials. So when we're logging in, we need to know what user is logging in. So now if I refresh it, let's see, we have one more error, reject by server. Login is rejected by server, the response code. All right, let's see, I'm not sure why this isn't working. Response code 2201. All right, live stream mode. We gotta go start debugging stuff. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. Okay, so we call create instance. We throw in our app ID. We call client login with this object. We throw in the UID, and we throw in a token. So token is there. Let's just remove or comment this out. Let's see when this error occurs. I think it's on the login. Okay, login is rejected. Error code 2. Let's try this. Oh, and by the way, Praveen is working on these Agora docs, so he has a lot more familiarity with all this. So if something looks bad, you blame him.
Updated sometimes, yeah. If you see it updated after some time, then it will be done by me. Yeah, so you can blame all on me if you don't understand anything or messed up styling.
Hey, so let's try this. So right now, I actually have another app where it's app ID only. Again, I'm just gonna have to deactivate this app immediately. Hopefully people aren't malicious in the chat, but if you have this information in theory, you can do something with it, but we'll make sure to deactivate it immediately. So let's try this other app here. And because I'm on one screen, I unfortunately can't go off screen. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna indent all this so you can only see part of the app ID. This is so hacky.
Dude.
Whatever, who cares? We'll fix this. I'll deactivate it. And then for the token, I just don't feel like setting everything up right now. It's not a big deal anyways.
That's so funny.
Okay, let's see. Now it worked. Okay. I guess there's different ways I could have done that. But so with this, I don't need the token now. And again, this is not recommended in production, but I can throw in null. It looks like that temporary token was invalid. Did I leave a space there? Let's see. Yeah, we'll leave it there. So we're able to log in and then we join. So if that issue is working, not working for you or whatever, if you had the same error that I did, make sure when you create your app, you create it with app ID only, just to test this out, to follow along through this. And then you can set token to null. And then we throw that value in right here. And if we lowercase this right here, if we did UID and channel or token, in theory, if I lowercase that, then I could just do UID and then not have to do the key value pair. That should work, but you do have to make sure the naming is there. Okay, so it's all working. Everything's checked out, so we're connected. Okay, so that took a little bit. All right, now once we do this, what I'm going to do here is first send a channel. So right here, when we submit this data, we add the message to the DOM, right? Once that message is added to the DOM, what I want to do here is even before that is I want to send out a message to this channel using the Agora SDK. So we have this method called send message. So we go to channel right here. So this is that Agora channel that we created. So we created the channel, and then we can call channel.sendMessage. And in here, we're going to go ahead and send a few values. So we could just do text here. So this is going to be the text, and we could just say hello. In fact, let's start here. Let's do that. And then the type itself right here will be of text. So type is going to be text here. So we can send this message, and we're going to customize this message in a second, but we're going to leave it like this for now. What's up?
Make it double. Sorry, you have written double X, maybe.
Okay, yeah, and I just realized this is supposed to be inside of this object right here.
How long have you been streaming this tree right now?
We are at 1 hour and 36 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so we send a message, right? Right now it's just simply a string that says hello. So in order to receive this message on the other end, we need to go in here, and we're going to go into initiate RTM, and we're going to add in event listener. So now these are Agora events. So we're just going to go ahead and do channel.on, and there's different events we can listen to, and we're going to listen for a channel message. Again, we can actually send peer-to-peer messages. There's different things we can do. But on this channel message event, we can grab the actual message, and then we can grab the peer ID. So this is the ID of the user that's sending this message. So we go ahead and do this. We create the arrow function right within the channel on message. So we have that, and then what I'm going to do here is just go ahead and do message is equal to, or we'll just console out the message. Let's just do that, console.log, and we'll just do message. And then we'll just do the same for peer ID. And I want to see if this makes sense to you, Praveen.
Yeah, I'm learning a little bit. I'm having an idea. That's why I'm in the stream.
So let's see if it works, and then I'll try to recap this. I keep opening up the wrong tab. Okay, so we're going to open up 2 tabs here and close out some of these. Okay, so both peers are joining the same channel technically, right? So when I send this message, let's go ahead and do inspect here. So we're going to open up both of these side by side. So if I send a message here and I say, hey, we're going to go to the other peer, and we should see this message consoled out. So you notice I didn't refresh anything. So I can just do hi, and then the other peer is going to get this message. So we see hello. Okay, so they're both hello because that's just a string. So essentially, we on submit, we send the message, we call the send message function, and then we add an event listener that retrieves this message. Now, there's a few issues with this. One is I want to be able to send more data, so I want to be able to send in an actual object. So we have to send a string here. So what I'm going to do here is actually do JSON.stringify. So we're going to stringify everything. And we're just going to send the message here. So, or the body text. No. So what I want to do is I actually want to send the entire object. So we're going to send an object called data. So right now, if I do that, I need to parse this on the other side. So we're going to go into channel message, and we're going to say message is equal to, actually, let's do this. We'll do post is equal to JSON.parse, and we'll do message.text. So we're trying to get that text value. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and take this post right here. And let's try this again. So we'll refresh everything. Okay, and I'll just say, hey, in one tab, and then on the other side, here we see the post, we see the ID, we see the peer ID, and we see the actual body. So we have everything we need to paint this to the DOM. So once the channel message is received, we're just going to take the same function, And this is going to be on the other user side. We're just going to go ahead and add this to the event listener. And we're just going to throw in the post. And let's give this a test here. Actually, I want to make sure to save it. Okay, so we see the last post is hey. So we'll say, what's up, Praveen? And then on the other side, we should see what's up, Praveen. So hey, that's working. So let's do this. Let's put these side by side. And I don't know how to do the split screen with the Mac. So what I'm going to do here is just minimize it.
You
And
can't
let's
do
refresh
I
it.
guess
What's up?
you'll have to do it. I guess you can't do like programmatically on the Mac, but you can obviously split manually on the
All
Mac.
right. So you see that live chat functionality right there?
Yeah.
So hello is popping up
Nice.
here. Test number 1. And we see that popping up. Now, the beauty of this, because I've done this before, is this didn't save in the database. So let's talk about the structure of it. So right now, if I refresh it, I don't lose these messages. So essentially what we're doing here is on submit, we're sending the data to the backend. And there's different ways of doing this, but we send the data to the backend. So we save it in the database. Once that's saved, we go ahead and send out the message. Now, there's a little bit of delay there. So what we could do is we can actually send the message beforehand and then send it to the database. So in a sense, let me pull up this window. I don't know if you can really see me, but in a sense, I don't know what I'm going to do visually, but essentially the message is being sent out like this, if that makes sense. One goes to Agora, one goes to the database. So it goes to Agora, Agora transmits that message. I don't know, this image right here makes sense to me. So we're shooting out 2 things at once. One goes to the database, one goes to Agora. So I don't know if that all made sense. Let's give me a second to stretch my legs.
Basically, like what you are doing is shooting 2 arrows with one bow, right?
In a sense, yeah. So one submit shoots it out. So do I have a whiteboard here? I swear I had a whiteboard. Maybe I can do a paint.
Yeah, you can
thing.
see.
I do have a whiteboard, but I can't really draw anything here. So in a sense, let's try doing. Does Mac have a paint option? How do I do paint? I want to draw something.
You can use the Excalibur.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's try
Yeah.
this. So let's see if I can explain this. Try to zoom out here. So this is how it looks, if this makes sense. So we have user 1 and we have user 2 right here.
You're not sharing your screen right now.
Yeah, give me a second. Here we go. So we have user 1 and user 2. Let's just go full screen here.
Yeah.
So essentially, this is what's happening. So when this user, okay, so let's do this. So this will be our database. And let's just move this up a little bit. And this will be Agora right here. So this is the Agora server. So when a user sends a message, they do this. They send the message. It goes to our database. It saves it in the database. Then we take that response. We send it back to our user, right? So this is the functionality right here. We submit the data, we send it, and then we get the data back. And then so we send the data and then we get the response back. And then we add that message to the DOM. So the message goes here. Then once we get that message back, we send it to Agora, and Agora will take that message and transmit it to user number 2. Okay, how do I do Control-C? So if you can in the chat, once I finish this, why can't I drop it? Oh, there we go. Can you let me know if this makes sense right here? So right now, there's kind of a delay, but essentially we shoot the message, get it back, shoot it to Agora, and go back to the user. In fact, let's just do this. And I really want to see the chat. Is initiate spelling okay? It probably is misspelled. Let's see. How do I spell that? Yeah, I spelled it wrong. I'll fix that. Technically, it's not like a built-in keyword, so it's going to work fine.
You can write sender or receiver in the boxes so that user can, so the chat can understand better. Yeah, like this.
Sender. Clinton's asking about the September hackathon. Yeah, we did move so the deadline is September 25th to submit it. so to submit your portfolio website, and we're moving the stream to the 29th. I have a conflict there. Okay, so we have the sender and we have the receiver. Then we have Agora server, and we have Django backend. So we'll just do this. We'll do step 1. So I have to keep clicking on this to.
You can use the shortcut like 8. There is a, if you see, there is a number just below the A font or A alphabet 8. You can type the 8
Oh, I see.
key or press the 8 numerical key on the keyboard. Yeah.
I see. Okay, I got it. So that's our structure right here. So let me try to zoom out. So does that make sense? Everybody in the chat, whoever's followed along, I don't know how many people stayed with it. Please give me some feedback. Praveen, does this fully make sense to you?
No.
What we did here? No. No. Let's be honest. Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't understand. Like, if you want to, like, there is a delay. Like you also have to put in the like database you are storing there. It will take some time, and like response or request response. Like if you're gonna write request response, then I guess chat will understand easily.
If you write a request response, I mean, here's, oh, you're saying to write it
like
right here.
Yeah,
request.
like instead of 1 2 3 4, I guess you can write it like and explain, just like not explain, but write like this is a WebSocket protocol. I guess that will be too much, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there isn't. So the open connection is between the Agora. So basically, the connection is really between these peers right here. Okay, I have to. So the connection is right here. It's between peer 1 and peer 2. In this case, it's between a group of peers. So, but the thing is, in order to send a message from sender to receiver or back and forth, we go through the Agora server. So rather than building the socket connection ourselves, and if anybody doesn't know what a socket connection is, essentially it's think of it like an email versus a phone call. So when you email someone, you send them a request, they get that message, and then they send something back. Whereas a WebSocket is more like a phone call, where once that connection is established, you all right, Praveen?
Yeah.
Once that connection is established, you have an open connection. So that's where on Facebook, when you're chatting or when you're texting someone, you get that response. You don't have to like refresh your browser or anything like that. You get that response immediately. So like essentially,
two-way communication.
Exactly. So we have that connection, that two-way connection through the Agora server. So that's where we join the channel. We're really both connected to the server, to the Agora server, and not to each other. But by sending messages through this, we're able to do it. So yeah, that is our Django chat application. I do plan to fully, I actually had Shuvo build me out a full Discord server clone, like a mock-up for something like this. We'll probably continue with that. We want to go peer-to-peer and so on. But yeah, this is better than just having that connection where we lose the messages. Really, the point here was to show how we can actually save that message too and have history with that. Maybe we can use something like React, but that is our Agora real-time chat application. All right, so it seems like the chat is pretty quiet, Praveen. I think we can probably end it right here.
Yeah.
You gotta get running?
No, you can still keep it up.
Should I try to style this thing? Oh, public chat. That's what it was. Let's do this. Let's continue with it. Let's actually go ahead and do the name thing. So you notice how right now we have no name here. So we just have the time posted. Oh, two things that I want to solve, actually. Let's just continue with this. One is we have this timestamp. And by the way, these should probably update in real time. There's a way to do that. Praveen, you're pretty familiar with JavaScript, right?
Yeah. JavaScript have inbuilt like inbuilt support for how do you say that? Like timestamp, you can use
is there
the
a library for that?
No, you don't have to use any library. Like JavaScript has inbuilt support for converting like these timestamps to human readable syntax or human readable strings.
Can you,
I saw that somewhere.
Would you also send me a code snippet or something while I'm working on this other part? That'd be awesome.
Just a second. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, let's do this. Let's actually build in an area where we can submit our name. Okay, let's see. Let's you know what I'm gonna do first is actually create a wrapper. So basically a template that everyone can inherit from. So we'll go in here.
Sending you the snippet in the private chat.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is copy all of this real quick, paste this in. So that's the entire home page. And then let's just remove all the script tags. So I just want to keep the body basically. And this is where we can add the child content. So we're going to extend this.
Give me a second, I'll be back.
Okay, and block content. And we're going to feed. Okay, so we're just going to wrap all of this so that way I can reuse this template in the login page, or not the login page, but basically the registration form. All right, block content and block, wrapped it. Looks like everything's good here. Oh, we don't need this body tag anymore. I think that should work. Okay, it's all still working. Cool. Both recipients got that. Okay, let's go into login now. You looking at the function? Login.html will extend the home page.
Yeah, I have sent you in the private chat if you'll see that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. 1 second. Sorry, just focus.
Yeah, it's okay.
Lock content and block content. Okay, so let's see. We'll create the form. Just create a wrapper around it, and then we'll style it. Okay, input, we'll just say, oops, what did I do here? So the name is going to be user name. Close that off. And we'll just throw in a label here. Actually, we'll just throw in I'll just do a paragraph tag just because I feel like I can style that better later. Okay, let's see. What is that? We have done the private chat. RTF1.format, right? Is that what you did? That's going to give us the time since.
Yeah.
Okay,
I looked into the Firefox documentation, MD and web docs.
Okay,
and
so we're going to do,
yeah.
So I can copy this. I don't need to import a library, RTF1.format, -1, and then I throw in my day.
Yeah, not days, like you can do minutes, MINUTES, like you will have to type fully.
Okay, it looks like that's giving me some error. Oh, so it was the message above that I was supposed to use, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try this. Let time since is equal to, so we're doing Oh, I see what you did here. Okay, so RTF1, that's going to be time
I'm
since right
sending
there,
you
right?
one more line. I'm sending you one more line. Just a second.
Okay.
Formatter. Okay. RTF. When I'm writing it, I'm copying it from a video.
So somebody's asking about that whole flow here. Yeah, so the only reason why we did this was simply because we want that message history to be here. We could just completely avoid a backend completely. We don't need this part in theory right here. We can just send the message directly to the, from user 1 and 2. But the issue is, how are you going to save that message for later? So we want to store that in our database, because you have to think about this. Not every real-time application is going to be a chat application. What about like notifications? Let's say it's a social network and you want to be notified anytime someone likes your post or something like that. Anytime someone sends you a message, you want some kind of alert to pop up in your, in that header bar. So that message has to come in real time. So that's where, and you also want it to be usually saved in a database. Like you want to be able to log into your computer if you weren't active that day and see all the notifications from the prior day or something like that. So you want to be able to view that. So you need to store it somewhere. So that's where the database comes into the picture here. Okay, so what'd you send me, Praveen, in the private chat?
Like use it now if it works, then otherwise I'm sending you some other snippet.
So which one am I using? So I'm using new
new intl
Is it capital
relative yeah, I guess yeah, it is capital I.
Okay, relative time format, and then we'll just do en, and then
just keep en. You don't need the second argument.
You don't need it? Okay. Oh,
okay.
Did I just delete it? Oh,
yeah, I guess you have scrolled.
Okay, so we have time since, and then we do time since dot
This is
format.
the second line.
You added another one. So time since dot format minus 1, and then do we just say we throw in the created value, right?
Just a second.
Because it needs to know the time that I'm
using. I'm
right?
sending you one more snippet, so you will have to use, instead of this format, you will have to use this. Just a second. 1000.
Oh, I just realized we're not even sharing. Our faces aren't in this.
Yeah.
Okay, so while you're doing that, let's go to the login page. Let's go create the view. Just call it register. Request, turn render. I guess we don't need a context dictionary there. And then we'll go to URLs. Views.register. All right, let's see.
I sent you a snippet. You can look it up.
Okay, 1 second. Let's just see what's going on here. Got an error, register. Views.register. Perhaps you forgot a comma. What did I do here in the URLs here? Path
after
register.
after register you will have to put comma.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, login template does not exist. What do I call it? Login.html. There we go. Just forgot the HTML syntax. End block isn't in the template. End block content. Block content. Line 12 end block expected. Registered or load in the tag. Block content. What am I doing wrong here? End block content. Okay.
Content.
Okay. Cool. So we have our registration. We'll finish this in a second. But Praveen, you sent me more code.
Yeah.
Oh man, these datetime formats are ugly. Okay, so we do. Oh man. Okay, so you want me to rewrite it like that, or do you want me to add to it? So we have the difference, a go, and then, right?
Yeah. So we will create a
So
difference, and add this
So this is
relative
going to be
time
the
format
difference here. So we'll do new date. So we're grabbing the current date minus new date, and then message dot created, right? We're taking the timestamp, and then we're going to do let a go, and that's going to be RTF1. So this is going to be my time
Right.
since,
time
right?
since. Yeah. Yeah.
So we still need this. Okay, that was going to remove that. So do time since dot format. And this is going to be -1 diff. Right? So we're subtracting it by difference?
Yeah. Start hyphen diff, and you will have to divide it by this time, this number. So I guess
Okay.
this is the
Divided
number of
by, right?
brackets.
So we're doing
Yeah.
1,000 times 60 times 24. And that should do what you're saying.
60 will be 2 times. Like you will have to multiply with 60 2 times.
60. Why do I not feel confident in this at all?
I don't also feel that confident. I have never used it.
Now I have even less confidence.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, whatever. Well, we can work on the format later. I don't want to get stuck on this. It's invalid left-hand assignment. Okay, so until we get that figured out, let's just continue here. So here's what I want to do. And again, this is going to be very hacky, but I'm going to add in some JavaScript here. And I haven't worked with the local storage for a while, but essentially let's do this. Let's do username is equal to local storage dot get item. And that's going to be username. So we're going to say if there is no username, redirect a user back to add in their username. So we'll just do if not username. Is it going to be none? I don't know what that value would be. We'll just do window dot location is equal to, and then we'll go to the home page. So let's try this. Let's try this. Inspect it. Okay. Jacob says, such an educational chill live stream. Will be the first one buying your book. Heck yeah. Love it. Line number 86, someone's saying. Let's see, what did we... Is that in the feed? I'm assuming that's what we're referring to. 86, new date, message dot created. What's on line 86? Oh, wait, hold on a second. We're supposed to subtract, right?
Yes, what you were doing.
I was doing equals.
Still not working.
Assignment operator. Invalid unit argument until format undefined. So that's probably because I have a timestamp, right? Wait, hold on. No, en.
You will have to initialize with new date.
Can you hold on? Okay, did you throw that in the code?
Just to say, you can skip this. I'm trying in my browser, and I will send you the correct statement. All you need.
Cool. Thank you. That was Nareen. Maybe you can say that name.
Just a second.
Awesome.
Narayan.
Narayan. Appreciate your help there.
Nayaarun. You can pronounce it like that.
Okay, so first of all, let's just do this. Let's just see what value I get out of the Oh, that wasn't. This is supposed to be added in the feed. So what I want to do is basically make sure that anybody that comes to this page here, and I'll probably put this at the top of it, gets redirected. In fact, let's just put this at the top before any other code executes. So we just want to move them over. Okay, and we want to redirect them to register. Okay, perfect. So right now I don't have a name because if I go into application, local storage, we have no username. So because we don't have a username, it's just going to redirect me. So until I have a username, I can't do anything. So let's just let's see. We'll go into login on submit. So we'll just do ID is equal to login underscore form. Do let form is equal to document.get element by ID. Login form. See, now I know why you call yourself Lord Fullstack, Praveen, because people call you Lord now. Form.add.
Yeah.
Got listener, submit. All right, we're almost done with this part. E.prevent default. Okay, then we're going to do local storage dot set item. Well, the username is equal to username. And to get this username, we'll just do let username is equal to e.target.username.value. And then we'll write a condition in here. We'll say if username then we want to do window.location is equal to, then we'll go to the home page. Okay, what's up?
Sent you the snippet. Sent
Okay,
you the
awesome.
snippet in the private chat. It is working.
Okay, 1 second. So we'll just do Dennis IV for the username. When I submit that, it redirects me. Now we have the username in the local storage. So now if I refresh it, it's always going to know who I am. Awesome. And before we actually add the username to the message, Praveen, you said that you got it working. You sent this in the private chat.
Yes.
So, Narayan, say that again.
Narayan.
Narayan, can you specify or elaborate on that question? So you're saying what is the difference between class-based API and function-based API? What do you mean by API? You mean build an outer API with class-based views, maybe?
Yes.
I'm assuming that's the question. And to summarize, that is just a different way of writing views. Class-based views give us more abstraction. They allow us to separate our code by HTTP methods. They're just different functionality that they provide, but really it's just to help write a cleaner code, I guess, not repeat yourself as much, because views, function-based views, you can't inherit from function-based views, but you can with class-based views. And also, again, HTTP methods, like in a regular view, you'd have to check like the method, whereas with a class-based view, you can literally write two different functions, one that handles all GET requests, one that handles all POST requests. I have a few videos on that I'd recommend you check out. So, and maybe I can do an example here, but we'll see. So let's go to our feed real quick. Praveen,
We have more control in our function-based views. So when it comes to class-based views, there's a kind of magic going on in the background, and you will have to dig up in more documentation to like get the custom things or get your custom code run. So yeah.
Yeah, it really depends, because if you're using built-in class-based views, then there's just a lot of abstraction that you don't know about until you learn it. So there is a bigger learning curve to them. But really, when you start writing your own, I would recommend writing class-based views without the built-in views. I really don't like using those because it doesn't teach you anything. So try writing it that way. There will be a little bit more code to write, but then you'll start seeing the benefits of that. Okay, so where am I at? Okay, so I'm in this chat section. So let's see. Let's go to the private chat. What did you send me? So format -div, right? So it's the second to last message, Praveen, that you sent me?
Yes, I have a message like ignore above. Then rest of the messages you can use all these one by one. These are like I'll
Okay,
send you
okay,
one by
gotcha.
one line.
So RT. Okay, so we have time since new INTL relative time format EN. Okay, message time. So let's just do this. Okay, let new date. This is me not learning anything, but just copying code now. And then the diff is going to be new date. Oh, I see what you did. I see. Okay. So you're doing message time. Well, there's kind of a weird issue here because technically my database is making that date. So what I could do is I can go to the model and remove it. And by the way, is this going to give me a timestamp? Like, is it going to give me minutes, seconds, right? Okay, so I might have to override how my model creates it. Or if it does, it's going to be off by like, a half a second or whatever. So it shouldn't be too big of an issue. But we have new date.
If you see the last fourth message, like it message time, it is just initiating the new date, like which is current date right now. So the message time will be the exact time as it is of now, and it will now redirect it. So like basically it will return like 0 seconds ago, but like you need a sort of like refreshing, so you can, or like DOM manipulation that will keep updating the time. So but it is not like exactly what you're looking for, but this can
Yeah, I
help in
see.
improving,
Well,
like
we can
when you're
start
using
here.
React.
Like I said, if anything, it's going to be off by half a second. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so I think that's it. Let's try it. Nope, still giving me an error. Okay, reference error. Date is not defined. Date, where am I doing this date? Show me the line.
When you're initializing new date, on like in the 90 line, yeah, you have small d.
Oh, it's supposed to be, okay, I see. Hey, there we go. So hold on a second. So we don't need,
Ago,
I don't need,
yeah, you don't need this ago. Yeah.
okay. So let's try this. So let's open up two tabs side by side, and then we'll add in our name in a second. See, that's cool. I don't have to refresh the other one. Well, I guess I'll refresh it because it needs a timestamp there.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go, 0 seconds ago. So what I would want to do is go through and update these times like every minute or something like that. So we'll, maybe I can build that in later. So we'll just say, cool. All right, so let's get the usernames going. Let's see, for the usernames, let's see, how do I want to do this? So when I send the message, I'm going to go ahead and grab the current user. So username, local storage. So if the username's here, so then we are going to send this with the message. So we have text, JSON.stringify, data. We might have to rework this data. So what I could do is I can do, so this is just an object. Can I do data.name like that? Will this work?
I guess it will not work.
You don't think
Yeah,
that,
it will work. It will work. Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
it will
just
work.
a object or
Yeah, it is a dictionary
JSON
kind
object.
of. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then in order to make this work, then we'll go to add message to DOM, and then we'll just do dash by, and then we'll throw in message dot sender. So let's just do that. We'll change that to sender, and then when I make this message, okay, let's see if this works. Perfect. Okay. So now in order to actually make this work with the other ones, what I'm going to do here is go to my models. I'm going to modify this. Go to the models. We'll just do sender. And this is going to be models.charfield. Max length, we'll do 200. I don't think anyone's name's going to be longer than that. If you have a name longer than that, I'd love to meet you. Null is equal to true. Okay, so we have that, and then in our views, should I try to publish this live, Praveen?
Yeah, why not?
And then,
Like
and
there
then
is
see
still
if people in the chat,
yeah.
get people to use it. Let's try it. Maybe I'll do that. I'll use Railway for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now in add data, so we're just gonna, now we have the username or sender. Sender is going to be equal to data.user or sender. And then for this, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to modify. So we can close the login page. We'll go to, let's see, main, no, we're going to feed.html. So go to feed.html. And in here, when we're submitting this, we need to send that sender also. So we have the body text. So when we're submitting that, where's submit data? Where's this function? So inside of submit data, add message to DOM. Oh, right here. Okay, so body, and then we're going to throw in sender. Okay, we'll just do username here. So what I'm going to do here is actually go to Django admin panel. No call. Oh, I didn't migrate it yet. Okay, give me a second. Python manage.py, make migrations. Python manage.py, migrate. I need more coffee. Okay, so run server. Okay, so let's do this. First of all, what I need to do is go to the feed.html page. We'll close out main.css. We'll probably close out most of these. We'll go to our feed. And I need to make sure that the name is rendered out with the original value. So as we send it, so we just did dash by and then the sender name. So I just want to repeat this right here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be up here. Okay, by sender.
Sender dot, I guess. Okay, so
And then
correct.
post. Okay, but the issue here is that if we look at all the posts, none of them have a sender. Okay, let's just delete them all. All right, so now if I refresh it, let's try to get that all going. All right, so let's see. We'll just do, hey, let's do hi here. Just having a weird conversation, a very boring conversation. So sent by Dennis Ivy, both of them. And then now if I refresh it, it still says sent by Dennis Ivy. Let's just do this. Let's make the text a little bit smaller, or I could just add in some, I'll just add in some classes to them. But I also want to try to log into a different user. Now, is there a way to do, I've never done this. How do you do incognito mode on a Mac? And this is a rookie question here.
Not
Okay,
sure.
but I can go new. Okay, new
Yeah.
incognito. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just do localhost 8000. So at this point, we'll just do Praveen. Try to zoom in here. Okay, so we have Praveen, and then we have Dennis responding. There we go. Now we have a message by Praveen and Dennis. Sweet, and all of that is saved. Cool. So let's gosh, I don't really feel like building out a token server right now because I really should build out a token server before I publish this.
What token server?
So basically what's happening is you saw how we did the authentication right now with app ID only.
Mm-hmm.
we should be doing that with a token. That's really the way to do it, because that's how you authenticate, your app with Agora. So right now, technically, anybody that takes that app ID can go ahead and just start using up my minutes with Agora, and I can charge. It'll eventually charge my card. So that's really risky to make public, which I have to make sure to take down. A token server is just a way of making sure that nobody can use it, because that token is never seen. So it's kind of like it's hidden, and it's just how we authenticate. So basically, no one in the front end will be able to use it. Let's see. Someone's asking, are you still using token? Oh, that's Cody. Okay, so first of all, code with Clinton. No, as a Django developer, is it necessary to learn React for the front end? Yes and no. As a Django developer, absolutely not. There's many cases where you might just work on the back end, build out APIs, databases, and so on, or heck, even have an application that doesn't require front end framework. But it is a really good thing, just because if you want to start building out interactive UIs, I actually have a video called "When I Use React" on my YouTube channel. Look that up. I talk about the difference between both. So if you're trying to get job ready, really learning React will help you a lot, but it's absolutely not necessary. So Cody is asking, are you using a token to send? Are you using token to send messages, or is token null? So token is currently null. Let me think about this. So let's try this. Let's try to. Gosh, I haven't built out a token server in a while. Here, let's just look at it and let's see. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. So first of all, I actually made the Python package. So it's py, right? pypy.org. So here is the Agora token generator.
Did you make that package?
Yeah, I made this package last year in December. So the Agora, yes, here we go. Author Dennis, Agora token builder. Anyways, oh dang it! I hate it when it opens me up in the same tab. It really bothers me. Okay, so RTC token builder. This is basically all the functionality for it. We are using the RTM token builder. So do I have that even? RTM token builder. Okay, so let's start here. Let's try building out the token server. This might make sense. Why can't I send messages to your channel? Which app? Cody, here, let me message you, actually. Let's see if this works. Let's grab this app ID, and let's use this one. Maybe you grab the wrong one. Because I remember I actually switched it at one point. So let's see. Let's just grab this app ID. And here, I really don't want to open up our private DMs. That's just a rule that I have to never open up private DMs in a chat. But yeah, whatever. Okay. Yeah, try to use the other one. Let's just find Cody's thing real quick. So Cody, use that app ID. Let me know if you got that one. You might be using the wrong one. But in theory, if you're using main, you should be able to use it. Okay, so basically what's happening is Cody is building out his own app, and he wants to start sending messages to our channel. So in theory, he can actually do this completely from his own app as long as he has those credentials. Cody, if you want to join the stream, let me know. Hit me up on Discord. I'll watch the chat here. Okay, so let's see. What are we doing here? Oh, the token server. Okay, let me just try doing that. I'll watch Cody's messages. Oh, Cody, I didn't realize you. Damn, my bad. I miss a lot of messages, and you've messaged me before, like the last 3 messages. My bad. Praveen, you know about that. I'm really bad at responding.
Yeah, I know.
I get focused, and that's all I can do. Okay, so first of all, we need to import the package. So let's try building out this token server. We'll go to this one right here. So go Agora token builder 1.0. Pip install Agora token builder. Let's grab that. Okay, so it looks like I already have that. So let's just do pip freeze requirements.txt. Where the heck? Where did all these come from? Is my virtual environment?
Yeah.
Why do I have all these packages?
Sometimes sometimes virtual environment doesn't work perfectly, so they grab all of the packages that you have installed globally.
I don't even have these packages globally. I don't know what half of these are. What's Pyobic? Or Pyo? Yeah.
PyObject-C.
Okay, I mean, whatever. It has it for now. We'll fix that later.
Mhm.
Let's see if Cody was able to get that message working. Oh, here, let me just turn on my npm npm run server.
Yeah. npm manage.py run server.
Okay, so we'll make this public in a second. I'm sending messages and I see them show up on my tabs. Why would that not work? It's sending it to the channel. Okay, try it a few more times. My server was just off, but it should in theory go to the database. That's not making any sense. And you got the right app ID, right? So I sent it to you on Discord. Make sure you have that app ID. You might be using the wrong app ID, but yeah, it should go based on that. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, his messages should be showing up. Okay, so we installed the token server, and we have to use the RTM token builder. So from Agora token builder, import not RTC, but the RTM token builder. And I actually have a video on this, so I'm probably going to do some copying and pasting here because I haven't done this in a while. So first of all, we're going to import the Agora token builder. Okay, everything's working well. The package is installed. Cody says, let me not distract you anymore. Yeah, that is weird though. Why wouldn't it work? Hold on a second. It wouldn't. Well, no, the message should work. Right? That is weird. Anyways, that's gonna bother me because that should be working.
Yeah, let's working on the stream right now.
Okay. So first of all, we have this token. So we're gonna generate the token. We're gonna create a view here. And essentially, we're just gonna create a view called token generator or generate token. Pass in request here. We'll just use the API view decorator. We'll make this. Need to do a list here. We'll just use DRF here, our Django REST framework. So we're sending a post request here, I believe. Okay, so we generate the token and we use the RTM token builder. So I imported that. So this function here builds us a token based off of our app ID, app certificate. Oh man, I really don't know. Oh, Praveen, you want to use I'm on one screen, so I don't know how to hide my environment variables. I need to provide the app ID, the user account information. Yeah, Cody, I might have to do this in another video because I'm going to expose way too much information. Are you just doing send message text? Or here, let's see.
You can do the indentation like you did before.
Yeah, that didn't work too well. Okay, so we have channel, send message. Yeah, text type. It shouldn't have to hit my Django API. It should just directly send it here. Like I should be able to, it should trigger the, let's see the DOM here. It should trigger. Okay, so you know what's funny, Cody? Is it's actually partially working. See this right here? This is you. It keeps telling me that you're leaving the channel. So for some reason, it's like
by undefined, yeah.
That's hilarious. It literally shows. Oh, there we go, Cody. Cody's sending the messages. You need to fix up the date format, maybe. All right. Thanks for being in the chat. I can't call you by your name because it's no copyright gameplay stock videos. But yeah, thanks for being here. What do you string? Why? So the reason why I stringify the data is because it can only send a string through this value. So I'm trying to send an object because I'm trying to. Okay, so here's what's going wrong, Cody. You need to send something like this. You need to send you need to have a sender, with your value. Then you need to have a body, with your value, and then you need to have created. So just do this right here, exactly what I'm doing. And I think you could just throw in something random there. But yeah, just do sender, body, created. So you're stringifying that. What do you stringify? Yeah, so that's what I'm stringifying. So on the receiving end, I can take this data. So it's add message to DOM. So I can take the message data and then go through that process. So I don't know if you got that. Let's see if Cody's able to. Oh, there we go. Now he's sending it. He's got his username. Perfect, perfect. Awesome. That's Cody on his end sending us real messages. So let's try doing this. Let's actually deploy this to Railway. Let's try taking care of that. This is a little bit risky, so I just want to be careful because if somebody knows what they're doing, there could be some malicious attempts here. Oh, but it's not saving Cody's messages to the database. That's why. So
yeah. Like they are working with Agora, but not perfectly with the
go away
Django.
code. I did Cody. So what I could do is, in order to receive Cody's messages, I could take this function right here and add it on the receiving end also. So I could say on event listener, add message to DOM, and then send that to the backend. So that in theory could work. Okay, so to deploy to Railway, let's try this. I need to refresh my memory here. So we're not doing the we're not going to do the token server thing because I'm not going to expose all that information, the token builder. I'll make a video on that later, and I'll probably do a full tutorial on this. Let's see, Railway. Okay. So count dashboard. What am I doing here? So Railway is what I'm using instead of Heroku now or AWS. I'll be using Railway for a lot of stuff because they have an awesome product. So we'll just do deploy from GitHub. So the first thing I'm going to do is push this project to GitHub. So we'll go to GitHub. Okay, so we'll do, we'll call it public chat live. Public chat live. Because I want people in the chat here to actually be able to do this. Okay. We'll make it private for now, and then I'll post this repo later probably. Okay. So we'll do get init, get status, get add, get status, get commit. Okay, set the remote, so I should copy that. Then get push -u origin. So I've only transferred a project from Heroku to Railway, so I got to see what Railway requires. I'm not sure if it requires like a proc file or anything like that, so I got to double check that. But we do have a requirements.txt file, which unfortunately has just a crap ton of information. What is this? Yeah, I don't even know half these packages, but we should be fine here. So once we have that, I can go to Railway, say I want to deploy a new project. We'll just do deploy from GitHub. We'll configure to GitHub. We'll go to my account. That's funny with Cody tapping in. Okay, what was it called? How can I? Public chat live. Okay, so we just connect the repo to Railway, and then it should automatically deploy it. Public chat live. Let's deploy now. I think I need a proc file and a runtime, not runtime. Yeah, I think I might need a runtime file too.
What is the runtime file, by the way?
runtime, it's the gosh, I'm going to give a horrible explanation here, but it's basically specifies the version of Python, the runtime for like the language, the version of it. So
Okay.
yeah.
We had this same thing in Roku, but like they were in this just the proc file. They have just a different syntax for it.
You have proc file, then you have a runtime.txt, I think, right? Okay, so let's see, runtime or run build failed.
Doc.
Okay, so I needed to pip freeze with the Agora token builder because I couldn't find that. So there's also automatic pushes, but let's see. Let's just look at the Railway docs. I want to see what they have here. So getting started, deploying. There should be one for a Django app. In fact, I think Railway actually, I automatically deployed an app through Railway, and I just want to see what they gave me by default. Django Pi 1. Okay, let's see. So they have the requirement.txt proc file. I think it requires a proc file. So let's just copy this. Let's create the proc file here. Yeah, I just haven't looked up enough. Manage API, migrate gene. Okay, my project is called public_chat. Okay, let's see if there's anything else in there. No runtime, no. Yeah, that should be it. And let's see, I should be deploying on Railway right now. Okay, why is this one failing?
Did you push the changes?
I did, yeah, that's what.
Okay.
Here, let's just try and get status real quick. Yeah, so it's all pushed. Just trying to read an error, but I'll probably stop here if it's using Nixpack, install. All right, so I guess we won't push a live. I'll probably end the stream here. We're almost on 2 hours and 30 minutes.
That's okay.
Cool. All right. Well, there is our live chat application that we'll probably elaborate on and continue, but I just wanted to show that feature. So thank you, everyone, for being here. That was definitely fun. Praveen, thank you for joining in. Tadas joined earlier. That was awesome having him here. It really helps me have somebody in here while I'm doing some work. Keeps it more entertaining. So hackathon registration deadline is on the 25th. So I want to make sure everyone's aware of that. That's on DennisIV.com. Go to September Hackathon. All you need to do is submit a portfolio website. And we have Danny Thompson and Francesco Chuella. They'll be the judges along with me. Francesco is representing Daily Dev, which is this awesome plugin right here that gives me developer news that I have by default. And then Danny Thompson, who probably needs no introduction, maybe does, but you'll see him on Twitter. He's all over the place. He doesn't represent his company, more represents his own brand. So he's just here just to be an awesome person and an awesome judge. So thank you. We have Abdul, Clinton, Barry, Cody as Web Dev Junkie. Thank you all for being here. Sandeep, appreciate your questions in the chat. Awesome having you guys. We'll see you guys later. All right. Take care.
All right.